And now, your main event. Introducing the hosts of Wrestling with Freddie, Jeff Dye, and Freddie Prinze Jr.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Wrestling with Freddie. I am not Freddie Prinze Jr. I am not Mr. Jeff Jackpot Dye. They are very busy individuals. Freddie will be back right after the Thanksgiving break. Jeff has been traveling the world and doing his thing. Unfortunately, last week we couldn't bring you a show because travel issues were hitting everybody hard. But I thought to myself, I should not leave the feed dark this week. I thought to myself, why don't I come on here and talk to you guys about one of AEW's hottest shows this year, which would be AEW Full Gear, coming to you live from my old home state of New Jersey. And I wanted to do a prediction show, as we always do here, and follow suit with it and kind of give you guys what and who we think would be winning and why these matches are coming together and who would go down in defeat. But before we get into all of that, I would like to break some things down from WWE and AEW that were happening during the week. Since we did not have a show last week, we weren't able to speak on some of the things that were happening. I think it's important to always, because the world of professional wrestling is ever changing, is to kind of keep up with what's going on in the news of pro wrestling. Now, we do record these on Monday, so by the time you hear this, some things have changed, so bear with us. And one thing before I get into it, make sure you subscribe and give us some stars. Talk to us in the review section. We'd like to hear what you have to say, your thoughts on the wrestling business and what's going on right now. That also includes the Instagram feed. Make sure you follow us on there at Wrestling with Freddie. We read every comment. We love to see what you guys have to say about the stuff that we put out and what's happening in the world of wrestling. Well, listen, first up, let's talk WWE. And there's a lot going on in WWE right now. But the very first thing that comes to mind and what everyone is pretty much talking about is this last time is now storyline. They're going hard with it. Honestly, it looks like they have been doing some crowd control after that heel Cena fiasco a couple months back. A lot of people were not happy with the way that that whole storyline came together, tried fixing itself, and hell, it just like ended. But tonight, on Monday, you'll be listening to this once again on Wednesday, will be Cena's final appearance on Raw at Madison Square Garden. Kind of nuts to even be saying that. We've been watching Cena for over 20 years and kind of talking about Cena. Make sure you just stick to Unsanctioned Thursday, where I want to give Cena and all of you my love letter to everything that he's done in this business. The man has really made a name for himself from the ring all the way into Hollywood. So I'd like to kind of give you guys my final thoughts on John Cena's career. Obviously, he still has a couple matches left. December 13th, I believe, is his last match of Saturday night's main event. But we'll get into that. And honestly, this might be the biggest Raw in the last decade. Cena has been sending messages about this being truly the end. Bittersweet. And if you're a fan, you read these messages and you're like, it's crazy to even think that these wrestlers have been wrestling for so long. We take advantage of the fact that they're on our television day in and day out, sometimes 3 times a week. And I just want to go down memory lane with you guys on Thursday. I'll hold any big thoughts on John Cena for Unsanctioned Thursday. Let's talk a little bit about AEW before we get into Full Gear. This past week, AEW filed a trademark for Watch AEW and AEW Spring Breakthrough. Looks like they're expanding branding again, as you know, something that they've been doing throughout the last 6 years of existence. perhaps could be for a new event or even a streaming push. We do see a lot of talks about Warner Brothers, WB in general, making a push to be sold. Man, it's hard for me not to think back to 2001 when WCW, TNT, TBS, they were sold off to AOL, and they obviously axed WCW. Now, WCW was in a steep decline back then. I believe Bischoff tried a lot to save it, and it just went downhill. It was sold off. Obviously, WWE bought it. If you don't remember that, go check out all the WWF archive footage that they have on YouTube, and you'll see that it was a big freaking deal to see McMahon show up on WCW television. But I don't think that'll happen here. I don't think you're going to see AAA show up on AEW. I do believe that if this deal does go through with the Saudi government, Warner Brothers they'll spin off their movies and their television. So yeah, I don't see AEW going anywhere anytime soon. Plus, Tony Khan, that deal that they struck with HBO Max, Warner themselves, that's a really good contract. I don't think that's going anywhere. They've been a very positive entity for Warner Brothers and HBO alike. They're pulling numbers, and that's what they want. They want numbers. They love the live entertainment field and sports. And with HBO and TNT, TBS, they're losing the NBA package. I think having AEW in there, bringing in numbers, is a positive. The last thing on the AEW front, Tony Khan and Billy Corgan did have a conversation. As if you guys haven't heard, Tony Khan confirmed there will be a new AEW national title coming. Tony Khan said that he spoke with Billy Corgan of NWA about the whole title and the deal. He said that the new title is its own thing and will not be tied to the NWA. He knows the lineage of the titles. He knows the prestige wrestlers that held the original national title. And I think that's a great deal. And to have someone like Billy Corgan, who owns NWA is still doing their thing. They can possibly put something together and work together. And wrestling these days have blurred that gray line. So you no longer have these giant battles of, like WCW, ECW, and WWE, WWF did back in the day. You kind of now have this open, let's work together style that's been happening in pro wrestling. We see it in WWE and TNA, and we're seeing it with AEW and everyone else that they've been working with. Anyway, let's get right into it. Now that we've got all of that out of the way, let's get into the good stuff. AEW Full Gear is this weekend, as I mentioned before, from my old home state, New Jersey. It's actually coming from Newark, New Jersey. I did not grow up too far from there. Big card, big stories, and they have some long builds too. As always, AEW now branded their pre-show as the Tailgate Brawl. They're going to have a giant match there with the Acclaim versus the Bang Bang Gang versus Big Bill and Brian Keith versus the Outrunners, a $200,000 tag match. AEW puts this match together because all four teams have been crossing paths for weeks. The Acclaim won back in the title picture. The Bang Bang Gang keep interrupting everybody. Big Bill and Brian Keith are the tough, odd pairing who have been getting surprise wins, and the Outrunners are trying to prove that they belong on pay-per-views. But the Outrunners are a really good, fun team to watch. They really show the quirkiness of pro wrestling. So yeah, AEW added the money because they've been pushing these cash price matches to give everyone something real to fight for, which is really cool. I think that sometimes, pro wrestling is very hard to innovate new things because everything has been done before. You look at WWE, who's been around for well over 60 years now, I guess, 70 maybe. They've pretty much have made every single match in the world that you can think of, stipulation-wise. So I think a cash prize is very, very old school. I like it. Honestly, I wouldn't even know who to predict for that match, and it's a tailgate pre-show. So whoever wins the, $200,000? Hey, good for you. Send me some money. let's get right into the main card. We have, once again, a $1 million 6-man tag match. This is a big one. I think this is the biggest pot that Tony Khan has ever put together, money-wise. In this match, we have Kenny Omega, Jack Perry, Luchasaurus versus Josh Alexander, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks. This one has 3 big threads. First, you got Omega versus the Young Bucks. Their relationship finally broke for good, and everything has become extremely personal between them. Jack Perry's return, that really fueled the tag team division, him and Luchasaurus coming back together. He came back and teamed with Omega because both guys feel like the Bucks never respected them. We got Josh Alexander in the mix. He's been calling out top guys since signing, and AEW threw him into the deep end here. So we'll see how well he can perform. And of course, the $1 million bag is AEW's new gimmick for high stakes matches, as I mentioned before. And honestly, I think it works. I've said this now. It works. These 6 have had legit reasons to want that money and want to beat each other up. Now, listen, I really want to go against the grain. I really want to choose the Young Bucks with Josh Alexander here. But the real story is with how Nick and Matt have been battling, with their own selves. We've seen some moments of them trying to show good intentions. We know they're not. But, ever since losing EVP status and, winning that first money match and then losing all the money, like things have gone a little sideways. They're trying to straighten things out. I think I'm going to go with Kenny, Jack, and Luchasaurus on this one. I really feel like they are the team to beat. I might, my other feeling, my head is telling me, nah, man, it's definitely going to be the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander. They're going to find a way to scrape through this and win this match. But man, Kenny, Jack, and Lucha, they have something there. Plus the storyline with the Young Bucks trying to break out of their funk, that's still kind of going on. And I do believe that that's a better story of them breaking away from everyone that they've been partnering with that has done them wrong, and them just like maybe getting, I don't know, maybe even them getting beat up by the Don Callis family. And then you have something like Kenny come for the help, right? And you see them 3 come back together. There's a lot going on there. AEW's storytelling has really has gone up, has enhanced. They're doing something different every single week, and I think that it's working for them. Next up, we have the AEW National Championship Casino Gauntlet match. People thought he was copying the NWA National title, but he clarified, as we mentioned before, that he talked to Billy Corgan, and this title stands alone. It has its own lineage that they're going to start at AEW. Now, AEW loaded the match with mid-card talent who need direction. This is a chance for someone to step up and make a name for themselves. Think of it like the early TNT title days, a workhorse belt. Some of the early participants are Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, Ricochet, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Kevin Knight. We know these guys have been going back and forth with each other, so kind of throwing them in the mix is gonna make a pot of disaster. And then Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, they're gonna go after each other, and it's gonna be fun to see that. But I can honestly say that I can see, and I'm gonna make this my prediction, Ricochet winning this title and walking away as the very first ever AEW National Champion. Then you could have a Bobby Lashley chase him. You can have a Shelton Benjamin chase him. There's that mid card right there where you have a lot of tag teams that can break off and say, hey, I'm going to go after this title real quick and I'll be right back. I think that could work very well. Next up, we have the AEW tag team titles. FTR versus Brody King and Bandito. Now, Brody King and Bandito came together as an experiment after Bandito returned from injury and House of Black went quiet. Somehow, the pairing has worked instantly. People go ape shit for these two. They've been smashing through teams and getting fan support without any character shift. Now, FTR called them out, saying AEW needs fighters, not trend chasers, which pretty much set the tone. Straight wrestling, no gimmicks, no swerve. Now, this might be the purest tag wrestling matchup that we'll see coming from Brodito, and they're going to be challenged because FTR, they're sneaky. They use a lot of heel tactics. They're very clean in the ring with the moves that they do. They will cheat. They will attempt to do little quirks here and there in the ring, but fighting style, this is going to be pretty much a brawl, a wrestling brawl. A lot of holds, probably a lot of rest holds, so get ready for that. But don't mistake the speed that Brody King could bring. I mean, you've seen this man fly out of the ring like he's a cruiserweight, you know? And Bandito could pretty much twist you up without even knowing it. He's another great wrestler. I think FTR, though, walks away as champs. This is my sleeper pick. I think FTR walks away as champ. There's more stories to be told when the heels are being chased, in my opinion. So I do think that the experiment that was Brodito worked very well. I don't think you disband them, but I do think you make a chase again. Next one up was just made, Pac versus Darby Allin. After the Death Riders defeated another team, Pac challenged Darby Allin to a match at Full Gear, stating that he wanted revenge for the fire attack. If you guys didn't see that match at Blood and Guts, oh my God, it was incredible. I don't know if it's just Darby thinking, you know, ahead and saying, yeah, just light me on fire. Just do whatever. Throw me off a cliff. Throw me off the top of the stairs. You know, power bomb me off the stage. I don't know if this man has a glass ceiling when it comes to what can physically be done to him. Now, this match is a direct continuation of their feud, which started when Pac returned from injury and helped Jon Moxley beat Darby Allin in their coffin match at AEW All Out. Now, look, this match is going to get out of control fast, but it's going to be physical as hell. Pac is another guy that I personally feel WWE let him slip through the cracks, you know, that they lost, and has become such an asset for AEW. There's guys in AEW that, to me, have pretty much washed away their WWE runs. He happens to be one of them, Pac. Mox is another one. I don't, you know, like I can't remember any of his matches except for the few as the Shield, you know, as a Shield member. There was so much going on in the early days of AEW, and so many guys kind of coming over. These two have always stood out. Cesaro, which is, you know, Claudio, he's another one that I don't even remember his run in WWE. And there's a few others. Mercedes Moné has made a name for herself. Could they go back? Who knows? Like, this is the world of wrestling is crazy. But to me, these certain wrestlers have made, Ty Conti, they've made names for themselves in AEW to the point where their WWE careers, to me, seem so distant from where they're at right now. And like I said before, you never know. They could always go back. But let's get back on track and get back on here. Look, I see Allin doing something crazy to win this match. I can't even imagine what it would be. As I mentioned before, this man has done pretty much everything and anything. I don't know. Maybe go to the likes of driving a Zamboni over Pac, bury him in ice, and having him win. But I do pick Darby Allin to win this match unless the Death Riders once again jump into this and mess things up, which could very well be likely that could happen. Next up, the TNT Championship, Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe. Now, if Briscoe loses, he must join the Don Callis family. Now, Fletcher has been on a big singles push since joining Don Callis. He wrestles like he wants to prove he's more than just the other guy from Aussie Open. Mark Briscoe has been trying to keep his own identity alive, not letting any faction absorb him. He created his own, but he hasn't really been taken in by anyone. Callis has been trying to recruit him for months. Callis forcing the stipulation that if you lose your mind makes this match personal. Not just about the title, it's about dignity. So for me, man, there's way more there if Briscoe loses and an outsider joins the Don Callis family. I have Kyle Fletcher retaining. And you have someone like Briscoe who is sneaky good at his promos and talking and getting his way, joining the Don Callis family. You can say that right there could create a ton of havoc within the Don Callis family. That could really work really well. And I'm all in for that. All in for that. So I'm going to pick Kyle Fletcher to win. And I'm sorry, Mr. Briscoe, but you're going to have to do something there for yourself once you join the Don Callis family. Now, next up is the women's world title match. Chris Statlander versus Mercedes Moné. Mercedes has won a ton of championships and has been bragging nonstop. She's been saying AEW only shines when she's in it. Now, Statlander fired back, saying she held the division together while Mercedes was injured and off doing press and this and that. The build has been slow with a few stare downs and near brawls. Old school booking, right? You save the physicality for the pay-per-view. But this is one of the biggest women's matches for Mercedes. Even though she has been in other championship matches, right? I think this is the one that really sets her over the edge. And by that, I mean Statlander will be retaining, right? Statlander has to bring her best in this match. I think that Moné comes up short. I think that this chase of the title becomes bigger and bigger and bigger for Moné. I think she will come to the realization that holding all the other titles that she has doesn't mean anything unless she is AEW Women's Champion. And that, I think, will drive her insane. And maybe we'll move on to World's End and see something happen there. But my prediction is Statlander retaining, which has to, storyline-wise, drive Moné crazy. She can win the big one. And she's supplementing everything, not winning the belt with everything else, with gathering titles from everywhere. And it's not working for her. It really isn't. And what I mean by that is it's for her self-worth. Like, she's just thinking, like, I have all these titles, but I can't get the AEW Women's World title. Like, what's going on, right? So something's going to have to give. Something will break. But I am picking Chris Statlander. I don't want her reign to just end just yet. So, let's go with her. I think that she has at least one or two more pay-per-views left in her before they move it off her. Last but not least, the World Championship Steel Cage match between Hangman Adam Page versus Samoa Joe. This is the most intense feud on the entire card. Hangman rebuilt himself after losing everything. He beat Swerve, climbed all the way back, and reclaimed the belt without the Elite behind him. Joe keeps calling AEW soft, says Hangman is the face of the soft era, and that his title win doesn't count until he beats someone real. And I believe him, by the way. Every contract signing has turned into a brawl. Every promo ends with chaos. Tony Khan made the match a steel cage and said, if you want to rip each other, fine. We'll lock you in and let you. And it's going to happen. If you saw Blood and Guts, it was wild there between these two, Samoa Joe and Hangman. They're ready for this. And it's very old school booking. Very old school booking. You didn't need a cage until it was something that was blowing over. Like, my gosh, this feud, it will probably end at this pay-per-view. It'll maybe pick up later on in maybe a couple months or whatever. Like, but you still have, you know, that storytelling there that they could always pick up. But I do see this steel cage match being the end of it all between these two, right? This feels like the match that will 100% seal the deal and put Hangman above and beyond the champion that he was before and the champion that he is striving to be, right? This match is going to have a ton of hard hits. Samoa Joe will be going full steam ahead. But the Hangman is on a mission. He has become the man in AEW and the flagship bearer. This will test the hell out of Hangman, and Joe is not going to hold back. But in the end, I think Joe will be the one on the mat as they count 1, 2, 3. I think Joe will show him respect, and we will see a new challenger emerge from the shadows real soon to challenge Hangman, take this to the next level for him. But Hangman, man, he has become the face of AEW. One of the originals, an AEW mainstay for the last 6 years. He is back. He's shown that he can talk. He can fight. He has proven that he can take the company where it needs to. And he's been a great champion. But he has a lot of people. He has a lot of people that might want that title. Swerve will be coming back sooner than later. So you never know. So my pick for that one will be the Hangman. Now, I don't know if they'll add any more fights to this card. As I said before, we record earlier. So if they do, we'll know. Hopefully there's no injuries and every match goes off without a hitch. AEW has a really good track record. As we've mentioned here, Freddie has said it before, so has Jeff, with doing incredible pay-per-view matches. This one will be coming to you live from Newark, New Jersey. God only knows what they're going to do there. They have a really good turnout every time they head over to the Rock there, the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. So I hope that this pay-per-view delivers. We have one more left. We have World's End coming. And this is going to be nuts. But ladies and gentlemen, that's the Full Gear AEW pay-per-view card with all the stories and the build-up. We'll see how this plays out this weekend. And my final thoughts for you guys is get ready for a ton of blood. I don't think New Jersey has any laws against people like just beating the crap out of each other when it comes to entertainment. I hope you guys do enjoy it. I hope you guys made your predictions. I hope your predictions make you money if you're putting down a couple pennies, a couple quarters down on these matches. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me today. As I mentioned before, I didn't want to let the feed go dark. Freddie will be back shortly after the Thanksgiving break. Jeff, of course, as well. Hit that follow button on our official Instagram, which is Wrestling with Freddie. Make sure you hit subscribe on this podcast. And on top of that, give us 5 stars. Let us know what you think about what's going on in the wrestling world. Give us some feedback. We'll be doing a call-in show very soon. We'll be doing our end of the year awards as well. We got a ton of great things coming. Stay tuned for Unsanctioned Thursdays, where I'm going to do a little rundown of John Cena's career, a little love letter to him, man, from all of us here at Wrestling with Freddie. Love you all. Thank you all for listening. We out.